If you wish to be the wine of jewels, learn to open the deep ocean of your heart, said the great philosopher Rumi. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Evolving Consciousness. I'm your host Purushottam, and in today's video, we'll be exploring what the concept of heart consciousness is, not only from a pragmatic standpoint but also from scientific evidence standpoint. We will be going to the different researches which leading institutes have carried out and how you and me can benefit from understanding the concept of heart coherence. And towards the end of video, we will explore three potent ways of implementing or raising the heart coherence, or to sort of explore the concept of heart consciousness in general. Now, to begin with, when we talk about heart, right, normally we only confine it to Bollywood songs, the goodness and the bitter memories of relationships, but heart is much more than that. Heart is it's not just a pump which sort of pumps the blood across your body, but science has proven that heart has its own independent nervous system. Did you know that heart has about 40,000 neurons? And did you know that heart and brain are in constant communication? Probably not, right? Even I wasn't aware of it until when I was pleasantly surprised when I was reading leading researches from the HeartMath Institute, which suggested that it's actually the heart which influences the thoughts in our brain. Whether their thoughts are of good quality or bad, it's all coming from this constant communication from our brain and heart. And also the fact that the heart is known to be 100 times more powerful than the human brain. They have conducted groundbreaking researches which confirm that human heart has about 10 times more power in terms of creating a lasting change in our psyche as compared to the human brain. Surprising, right? And also they have done experiments to measure palpable vibrations, measure the vibrations emanating from the human heart. And it is said that the vibrations of the human heart have the capacity to influence things around 3 meters of the periphery from the point of emanation of the vibration. So from all these facts, you can understand how powerful our human heart is. This intention of making this video is to give you a more scientific approach and to incite your interest in this concept of heart consciousness, or in other words, heart coherence. Now, probably students of physics and students of engineering understand what coherence and incoherence is. Coherence from a physics standpoint means when signals are in phase, and incoherence is when signals are out of phase, when signals are more chaotic. It is said that when we are in states of anger, stress, fear, depression, it is said that the vibrations from our heart or the signals from our heart are incoherent, and the incoherent signals lead to all the chaotic thinking processes in the human brain. And it is said when we are in states of deep peace, or when we are in a deeply relaxed state, or when we are in a state of acute appreciation or gratitude, that is the time when our hearts are very coherent. Now the question is, all this looks fancy and all this looks really interesting and enlightening, but what is in it for you and me, right? How can you and me benefit from this concept of heart consciousness? Now let me give you some scientific facts, right? It is said that heart coherence, right, it provides a 56% drop in depression, 48% drop in fatigue, 46% drop in anxiety, 38% it helps you to keep calm versus being in the flight or fight response. So it's very important for each one of us to have this tendency to develop heart consciousness. Now, most people probably have never thought of heart from this standpoint. Joe Dispenza, who probably is one of those revolutionaries who has sort of clubbed the different disciplines of neuroscience, quantum physics, and also spirituality, he says something very inciting, something which is very insightful. He says that the thoughts in the human brain, they are electric in nature, but the feelings which emanate from the heart, they are magnetic in nature. And he says that anything which was produced in the world, which was of substance or which can be considered as worthwhile, they have always emanated from a place of heart. They have always come from a place of strong feelings. Now, this is not philosophy, right? You just go look at history and look at all the greatest of legends. Be it Thomas Alva Edison, be it Henry Ford, they had an emotional feeling associated with their goal, with their purpose. And that made all the difference. Because let's understand, the heart and brain are always in constant communication. The only difference is whether the communication is coherent or it's incoherent. Now the good news is, if you and me want, we can consciously train our heart to be more coherent. I talked about the tangible benefits from a health standpoint, but there are intangible benefits as well. It is said that the people who have a more coherent heart, they are more intuitive by nature. Now it is said intuition is not a philosophical concept, or it's not something which can be considered as confined to only a few, but intuition is something which it connects you with your subconscious powers, with your subconscious thought processes. I will make a full-blown video on the powers of the subconscious mind, but I want to give you a very brief understanding of intuition. Intuition is when you are reaching or when you are connecting to that intelligence which is beyond your current process of thinking, which goes beyond the current confines of the space, body and time. If you look at the legends, people who have created some inventions, they were intuitive by nature. If you understand how the structure of benzene was created, the person who discovered benzene, the ring of benzene, do you know how did he arrive at the structure of benzene? He was sleeping and one day he sees a snake is biting his tail. Now what was that? That was intuition doing its game, right? That was intuition in effect. Now I gave you one example, but there are countless examples in history which say that there is that eureka moment, that intuitive dimension, that intuitive faculty which each of us has, but very few are capable of tuning into. It is said that when you establish steady heart coherence, then intuitive capabilities increase. Now intuition is something which is not only confined to mystics and scientists. Intuition is something which both you and me can benefit from. Whether you are a businessman or you are a regular employee, being intuitive can be one of those supernatural capacities or capabilities which will always give you an edge over the others. You will always be intuitive about your decisions. You will have that gut feeling. Now that gut feeling is something which is called as the subconscious mind. Now this is enough reason for anyone to start understanding more about heart coherence. The impact it has on our general health and the psychological well-being aspect, that is a known fact. But beyond that, it sharpens certain faculties which are beyond human. And if you really want to do something of value, intuition is something which we all need in today's world, which is filled with chaos, filled with unpredictability, right? So now let's understand the essence of heart coherence and what are the three most potent tools which will help you naturally increase heart coherence in your system. Now, as I said in the beginning, heart coherence is there when we are in a state of ease, where all the systems in our body are working in symphony, when they are working in order. That's heart coherence. And when we sort of have this negative state of minds, negative moods, heart coherence is disturbed. So how should we be able to build heart coherence, right? So there are three very important qualities that we need to imbibe to naturally build heart coherence. Number one, among them is appreciation. Now, we human beings naturally have a negative bias. What I mean by that is, now let us say somebody comes and appreciates you, right? And he goes on appreciating you for a very long time, and you start doubting that person as to why the hell is this person appreciating me so much? Does this person have a hidden agenda? Does he want something from me? These are the natural questions which will dawn upon your consciousness. Now, it's not your fault, but the way our human brains evolved. We were naturally trained to have a fight or flight response, meaning our brain was naturally accustomed to look at the bad versus the good. Now, the good news is, if we want, we can naturally train our brain to look at the bright side of things. Now, why should we look at the bright side of things? Why should we harbor this emotion of appreciation? Now, science has proven that people who have qualities of appreciation are people who are accustomed to harness this emotion of gratitude. Their health, their physiological and psychological health is phenomenal. Now, you can always Google and research the psychological and physiological benefits of what gratitude and appreciation can do. But the immediate effect you and me can feel is that we start feeling good. And we all want to feel good, right? Nobody wants to feel miserable. But still, it's very difficult to appreciate, especially when we have to appreciate someone from the outside. We find it easy to complain and crib, but when it comes to appreciation, it seems a difficult task. It seems a Herculean endeavor. But we need to understand the benefits of it. Gratitude is known to be one of those antidepressants, or you can call it as a miracle drug, which releases about 1000 to 1500 metabolic processes in your whole system, in your brain in particular, that it instantly starts making you feel good. Not only does it make you feel good, but it also sort of activates the healing and the repair mechanism at the cellular level. Isn't that reason enough for each one of us to start practicing the habit of appreciation and gratitude? The great Rumi philosopher Rumi, he says, gratitude is the wine for the soul, so get drunk. It is truly the wine for the soul. And if you think about it, right, gratitude is that thing which makes small enough, right? Anything which you feel is small, it immediately becomes enough when you think of gratitude. And anyone can practice gratitude. The fact that you are able to view this video, the fact that you were able to get up this morning, the fact that you have organs properly functioning in the body, isn't that reason enough to feel grateful? Or do we need something very big, some huge achievement or some huge applause for us to feel grateful? No, right? All smaller things can make us happy, can make us feel grateful. There's a video which I uploaded probably 2 years back, which has probably the most views on my channel. It's called The Secret of Eternal Happiness. In that, I have gone deep into the essence of gratitude. If you really want to go into that, probably you can view that video, which is available in the video section of my channel. Now, what are the practical ways in which we can install this habit of appreciation? Number one is, as soon as we get up and as soon as we sleep, before we sleep and as soon as we get up, those are the times when our subconscious mind is active. And subconscious mind is considered the gateway to heaven as well as the gateway to hell. So it is very important that we sleep or get up with a positive frame of mind, because it becomes our natural way of being. The things which we put in our subconscious becomes our natural state of mind, right? Default state of mind. So it's a great practice to engage in a gratitude list. Like, what are the things which went really great in the day, just before you retire for the day, right? This is one way we can practice gratitude. And also in the morning. And also appreciate all the goodness in life. And also one very important thing, you might be facing a certain challenge in your life. Look at the things which you can be grateful for in that challenge. Now, this is challenging, but one thing you'll understand, the more you look for goodness in the worst of challenges, you are honing your perspective skills and you are also honing gratitude. Because if you get accustomed to look at the good in the bad, then looking the good in the good is going to naturally feel easy to you. Hence, it's a very potent way to transform yourself through these emotions, through these uplifting divine emotions of appreciation and gratitude. Now, coming to the second emotion or practice we need to imbibe. Now, this is about non-judgment, right? Today, judgment has become a standard operating procedure. It's so easy to judge. It is so easy to condemn, so easy to criticize. There is a certain level of satisfaction which people derive from judging others. Now, judgment comes from a place of insecurity. Judgment comes from a place of inferiority. You might think how, right? But see, essentially, when we try to judge someone, when we try to pull someone down, the reason we do that, now there can be different reasons, right? There can really be a genuine reason for that judgment, but most of the times the reason we do that is we feel somewhat elated or superficially we feel our ego is pumped up when we try to pinpoint the bad aspects of another person. So we get a sense of pleasure, but that sense of pleasure will lead to chaos in our brain, because the more judgmental you are, the more unease you experience. There is this beautiful book by Dr. Deepak Chopra, The 7 Laws of Spiritual Success, wherein the first law talks about the law of pure potentiality, wherein he says that practicing non-judgment is the to-do activity, is that activity which each of us needs to practice in case we want to have a clean state of mind. Because let's remember, the more you judge people, the more you confine yourself to this habit of judging, the more you are draining your consciousness. Because one very important thing you'll observe, right? Just observe your own body sensations when you're judging someone. There's constriction. There is no feeling of expansion. And whenever you feel constricted, whenever you feel that your thought processes are getting confined, that is the emotion you need to change immediately. That is the body's response, body's way of telling you that you need to change your thought process or your emotional makeup. Now, what are the ways we can practice non-judgment, right? Now, there's a beautiful way which I was reading in probably this book called Map of Consciousness, which talks about coming out of addictive mental tendencies, right? Being judgmental is also a mental tendency. He says that just by looking or observing a certain behavior, certain palpable changes can be brought about. Now, let me give you a very tangible example. Suppose you are someone who is addicted to the habit of having cookies, sugar cookies, right? So you like to have cookies every day, right? Now, you need not use willpower or you need not subject yourself to guilt to come out of that habit. Instead, Dr. David Hawkins says that we need to harness the physics principle of Heisenberg principle, which says that merely observing something with the right intention will change the structure of it. Now, in this example of cookies, what we need to do is, instead of trying to stop the habit of eating cookies, we just need to make an inventory of how many cookies I'm having per day. When you do that, you will notice that over a period of time, your cookies, the consumption of your cookies is coming down. The count of per day, your consumption of having cookies is coming down. Now, this is a phenomenal way of changing our mental habits. Judgment is also one of them. One way you can do it, probably one day in a week, you can say that today is that day where I'm not going to judge anyone. I'm going to be completely non-judgmental. Right? And Bruce Lee told it beautifully. He said that when you practice non-judgment, you can see reality as it is. Because normally we see reality not as it is, but as we are. There's a video called Fractured Reality where I went deep into this concept. This concept is very relevant because most of us judge the world through our own lens. We don't see the world as it is, but we see the world as we are. Now, this quality is not serving us in any way. Right? So essentially we need to come out of this quality, and one way of doing that is to fast of this quality, right? To come up with a day, or probably every day 1 hour in a day that you will sort of commit to practice non-judgment. And coming to the third point, and this is a huge one, the practice of forgiveness. Now, when I talk about forgiveness, right, most of you might be thinking that this is all philosophy and this doesn't really work in today's modern day life, and this is a weak way of approaching life. But let's understand something very subtle and very deep. Forgiveness is the jewel of warriors. Not everyone can forgive. Not everyone has the golden heart to forgive. Now, when I say this, immediately you might come up with a alternative vicious attack, but you don't know what happened with me. You don't know what are the situations I went through. I completely agree with you. I completely understand the place through which you're talking. But just realize this very subtle aspect. You not forgiving someone, is it causing any harm to them? Probably not. But you are creating a lot of turmoil within your psyche. And it is said, science has proven that 95% of all psychosomatic and physiological disease is because of the fact that there are some resentments, there are some grudges which are still lurking in your conscious and subconscious minds. A Course in Miracles, which is one of the most famous books in modern days, in that book they have told that if there is some physical ailment or a psychological one, probably you need to ask yourselves, what is the situation or who are the people who I need to forgive? And Buddha told it beautiful, right? And he said, holding on to anger and resentment is like picking up a hot coal and trying to throw it on the person you want to avenge your anger and resentment, right? So essentially your hand is burning up. And one very important thing we need to understand is when we forgive a person, we are not forgiving the person for him. We are forgiving the person because we want to be at ease and we want to be at peace. So actually, forgiveness is a selfish endeavor. Forgiveness is not a divine quality, or it's not a sort of very divine virtue, and you need not inflate your ego because you are able to forgive someone. Forgiveness is essentially serving us. That's why we are forgiving. Now, one very important aspect which probably many people sort of ignore, that it's we can forgive others, but have we ever thought of forgiving ourselves? Now, you might be awestruck, what did I just say? What do you mean by forgive myself? Oftentimes in life, we become so critical of ourselves that we keep on complaining, we go in the mode of guilt, and we are always lost in this complaint mode. But one thing we need to understand, the more you think negative about others or negative about yourself, you are abusing yourself. There might be incidents in the past which didn't work out the way you wanted them to work out, but the more you replay those incidents in your mind, you are abusing yourself in the present. So now it's for you to decide whether you want to abuse yourself in the moment. Now I know this is easier said than done, but what are we getting out of this? There is a joy in self-pity, there is a joy in playing victim, there is a pleasure human beings derive out of resentment, out of revenge, out of anger. That's why they are not willing to let go of anger, revenge, resentments, grudges. The ego feels satisfied when we hold on to that victim identity. But forgiveness is going to completely change your thought process, because let's remember, resentment, grudges, this self-pity mode is only going to create havoc in your nervous system, your body, your mind. Everything is going to suffer sooner or later. So it is wise, it is an intelligent move to let go of those grudges, to let go of the experiences. And the easiest way to practice forgiveness, right, is to have the willingness to forgive, because most of us don't have willingness to forgive, right? And you might be thinking that I'm talking about heart consciousness, and how come I never talked about the famous emotion which is associated with heart, the emotion of love. Essentially, forgiveness is love in action. Because let's understand, it's very easy to love people when everything is going as you want, when things are amazing, when things are the best version as per you. But true love, the test of true love comes in when a person is able to forgive, because forgiveness is love in action. This was told by Dr. Joseph Murphy in the famous book Power of the Subconscious Mind, and he gave a beautiful analogy. He says that whenever you cut a finger, right, you get a scar in your body, any part of your body, nature forgives you. It suddenly starts repairing it. Suddenly starts healing it. I found that so insightful, that nature is so forgiving towards us. No matter how many mistakes we have done, it always forgives us. And also realize one very important thing, that we are not gods, right? You and me are not perfect. Then why is it so difficult to forgive someone? And always remember one thing, that every saint had a past and every sinner has a future. And everyone is operating through their state of consciousness. Probably if you and me were in their position, we would have also acted in ways in which that person acted. So when we develop this kind of a holistic mindset, we develop the quality of compassion, then it's easier for us to forgive. Now, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. We need to learn from those chapters, from those episodes. But forgiveness is essentially doing a favor on ourselves. Because the amount of lightness you feel, the amount of freedom you feel once you forgive yourself and the people you need to forgive, the results are boundless. And the striking aspect, the most important result you will get is heart coherence. Hope this video made sense to you. Now you probably will be more inspired to research more on the concept of heart coherence. To do a quick recap, appreciation and gratitude, non-judgment, and number 3, forgiveness. These are the 3 qualities which you and me can practice to have a more powerful and a coherent heart. Hope this video was of value to you. Hope this video made sense to you. If you really enjoyed this video, don't forget to share this video with your couple of your friends. Also give me your candid feedback as to what are the good parts of the video, what are the not so good parts of the video. Also do subscribe to my channel if you really enjoyed the genre of this content. Thank you so much and meet you in the next video. Bye.